You can only fight the way you practice. Miyamoto Musashi. Every day, my friends, 10 to 15 minutes charting these stocks, ETFs, whatever it is you are interested in. Every day we spend 10 to 15 minutes charting ETFs that we can track and have tracked for years, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100, 20-year bonds, and gold. We've also been throwing in lately Bitcoin, which was down big today. But remember, Bitcoin swings all over the place. We'll touch on that chart at the end. Thank you for all the book orders, for all the support, Patreon members. Don't forget, this Wednesday, live, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time here in the U.S., and we appreciate all our friends joining us from overseas too. We'll have the live call-in. Watch your email for our email with the log-in information. If you're not a Patreon supporter at any of the three levels, if you join, you first get our three-part series, it's called Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way. We've got that ready for you. We also have the live question and answer call-in session. Every month, what do you get? The stocks, ETFs you're interested in us helping you track for practice trading. We review those and we spend time answering your questions and going over what's happening in the market. That is this Wednesday. It's not too late to join. Okay, let's jump into these charts. We see the S&P 500 slamming up 1.62%, the Nasdaq 100 slamming up 2.50%. Would I be remiss if I didn't talk about silver? We talked about how close silver was getting to crossing over, going up on that weekly chart. Remember that last week? We mentioned it briefly. Check it out, up 7.08%. Stock market bets, I guess, or what is it? Whatever it is, they are really working on driving the shorts out. Very interesting. We'll see how that develops over the week. Again, we're not getting into that stuff, folks. We're just looking at following these charts, using things as they work on our charts, and tracking trends, established trends, not gambling. But nonetheless, let's jump back to where we were on the S&P 500. Now, where are we when we look at the market? Well, we had a weekly vertical crossover, didn't we? That occurred back on the week ending the 29th. That was a crossover going down. What did we see happen on Monday? Thanks partly to the craziness with silver, possibly not. We saw things move up 1.62%. Again, we've got all that GameStop stuff going on too. It's a crazy world. How's the week starting off though with our price percent oscillator pulling away from the red signal line? We have a red down candle that is forming on our Heikin Ashi candlesticks. Don't know what Heikin Ashi candlesticks, why would they be going down when actually the S&P went up? Well, you have to understand Heikin Ashi candlesticks. I'll put that at the end of today's video. You'll find it interesting to understand how they work. They are different than your standard open, high, low, close candlestick, and we use them because I think they help us see what's really going on a whole lot better. Derivative oscillators gone negative. Go to the 2-day chart. Check it out. What do we see going on there? We see a red down candle. Now, that is for Friday and Monday. And pulling away from the red signal line, derivative oscillator gaining lots of downward momentum. Now we dig into the half-day chart. We see things up in the morning, bounding up further in the afternoon, pushing right up there to the weekly trend line. We will definitely keep our eye on those kinds of things. Derivative oscillator losing downward momentum. Price percent oscillator flat in the morning, moving up a little, but still negative in the afternoon. We'll see how this week continues to develop. One day doesn't make a trend. That's where we are on the S&P. What about the Nasdaq 100? That has been laminated for so long. It's just weird, but not quite laminated. We can see some weekly areas of some lamination, but we watched it go up many, many weeks when it was just barely over the red signal line, then crossed over 1 week and then back up and then back over. So we did have that weekly vertical crossover at the end of this last week. and we look at where things are. Now this is what's interesting. Our 2-day, we didn't, well, we'll get to that in a second. Last week we had up movement. This week we have a red spinning top that is forming right there on the weekly trend line. Derivative oscillator still barely positive, price percent oscillator negative. Now look at the 2-day. The 2-day, did we get a crossover going down? Not yet. We still don't have it. How bizarro. That rarely happens. Are you putting that in your notes if you're doing the practice trade down after the weekly vertical crossover? Are you tracking that? Very odd. We see the derivative oscillator still positive, price percent oscillator not quite crossing over, going down even with 2 red candles. Now we go to, and you can see where price is hanging right there on that weekly trend line, which, wait a second, we are confusing ourselves with that because we did not redraw it yet. And you know what I've learned is the best thing to do when you don't have the ability to redraw one because you don't have enough down movement is just to remove it. Now, and see, you notice that we don't have one on that 2-day at this point because of the strangeness of it all. See, we're already out of that. So what we're going to do is, well, we're gonna remove that one too, because again, it gets you confused when one thing's going one way, other things are going another, and you don't yet have confirmation. So that is a good rule that we'll continue to employ and hold ourselves to it. Now, look at the half-day chart. We have up in the morning, further up in the afternoon, but not enough energy to cross over. So again, very strange chart. Weekly's going down. 2-day has not managed to cross over going down. So we're going to pay attention to this. Make sure to pay attention in your show notes. A very odd thing that happens. A weekly vertical crossover without a corresponding 2-day crossover going down. That's the first time that's happened in quite a while. See how that plays out for us. Let's pay attention and just see. Could it give you a possible jumping in point later if the 2-day crosses over going down, say on Wednesday? Because remember, it's Monday. It's going to take 2 days for the new one to draw. If it crosses over, would it be an accurate thing to do to jump in then? Well, that's why we fill out our daily market, weekly market, and trade worksheets to keep up with what we learn as we go. I have some ideas on that, but let's see how it plays out. Let's look at TLT, 20-year bonds, flat for the day. We see the derivative oscillator losing some downward momentum. Weekly still down, red down candle forming, but not hitting the lows anywhere. 2-day, what do we see there? Well, the 2-day actually ended crossing over, going up. And we had that actually happen on that last 2-day candle. Continued, did not continue the up move, continued some down moves, but it had previously crossed over going up. So we'll see how long that holds. What happens if it rotates back over going down? Well, of course, that pullback would be over and it would give you a possible opportunity to jump back into more down movement. What about this half day? Well, the half day crossed over going down in the morning, but see, here's another one of these situations where how do you really draw much of anything that's helpful on these other candles? Sort of hard to do. Although we can connect 3 there, we've left out the latest movement, but short of just getting rid of it altogether, at least it's moving in the right direction. We can draw something. So we'll give that a shot and leave that for the time being. That is where we are on bonds. Now let's leave there. Still waiting for it to sort out. Remember, might have a 2-day recross going down on bonds, so we'll watch that over the next 2 days. Gold, what do we see? Gold up for the day, 0.94%. Price percent oscillator is just about flat. Derivative oscillator and negative. Derivative oscillator is still negative, losing some downward momentum. 2-day chart still negative. The Price percent oscillator appears to be heading up. Derivative oscillator losing downward momentum. Green spinning top, indecision tending up is what we have formed here. So we'll continue to watch, keep an eye on things. Hard to do very much with our trend line at this point. I will admit to all you guys, as I have said over the course of several weeks now, up to and through the Biden swearing in, the market has taken on some very, very strange looks. But that is where we are on the 2-day when it comes to gold, still going down. Half day, of course, crossed over in the morning, maybe has something to do with silver. Crossed over going up, pulling back a little in the afternoon. Overall for the day, up 0.95%. I'm ready for gold to take off too, but we shall wait and see just what it does. Okay, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin again down for the day, 9.80%. Have a green candle forming again. That's showing you average pace. We know that the movement is down. Derivative oscillator is negative. Price percent oscillator heading down, but still positive. But weakness in Bitcoin. Go to the 2-day, and we can see that this latest 2-day candle is a green open box candle because of the prior movement on Friday. But what do we see happening? Price percent oscillator going down. Derivative oscillator still negative, losing a little downward momentum. And then we go to the half-day chart. That is where we see that Friday booming up movement and then rolling off, coming down. Half day's not crossed over yet, but is headed down on the price percent oscillator, derivative oscillator, up in the morning and about flat in the afternoon with that strong red down candle. So Bitcoin still weak. Now, folks, I just can't help but looking at silver. Let's check it out. Trying to cross over on that weekly chart, heading up. We will take a look at the 2-day. Look at that. Crossed over, heading up at the end of the day well, that represents both Friday and Monday, but at the end of the day on Monday. And, of course, we look at the half day. Started seeing up movement in the market on silver on the 28th. And, again, just continually kind of tracking along. So that was all the way back on last Thursday. So again, there were people who are watching, paying attention, setting positions in that. But again, that's a great deal of gambling there, folks. Not that you can't make money gambling, but of course, you can also lose a whole lot of money. And remember, we're not a stock calling service. We're an education firm. We're here to help you learn. Practice trading doesn't cost you anything. Do it as much as you can. Learn all you can, 10 to 15 minutes a day. That's all we ask. God bless. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.